Welcome back to TIA Talks. My name is Jason, your host, and the finale has finally aired. We have our winner, and next week we'll sit down with Karabo. Don't worry, we'll unpack what it means to be the Insurance Apprentice of 2026. But before we get there, I wanted to spend time with two people whose journeys were just as compelling than as Karabo's. You know, you guys sitting in front of me blew me away with your professionalism and the way that you conducted yourself on the show. So with me today, I've got Tyrell and Asanda, top 3 in one of the toughest insurance competitions out there. The only insurance competition out there. Welcome, Tyrell, Asanda. Today isn't about who won. It's about the lessons, the growth, the setbacks, the surprises, and what this experience taught them. So I think we're going to jump straight into a clip that I saved for you guys. Okay. There's 2 clips, but I want to play the first one. And I think Asanda will go straight into yours.
Woo! Another day, another dollar, and the girl is still here. My name is Asanda Magwaza. I'm from KwaZulu-Natal, born and bred.
Congratulations. You did a great job today. I look forward to spending more time with you.
Oh my God, I made it to the top 10. This is mind-blowing. The reason I entered the Insurance Apprentice is because I wanted to do something outside of my work. I wanted to build a name and a brand for myself within the insurance industry and not just be limited to my portfolio within my company.
The 2 individuals who are the highest scoring in the competition thus far. Asanda?
I honestly didn't believe that I'd make it this far. I think my imposter syndrome most times got the better of me. So I think I get surprised each and every stage I get shortlisted. Winning the Insurance Apprentice 2026 would really make me a part of the industry. It'll contribute to my goal of being a thought leader. I do believe I'm allowed to contribute to the industry, and this is definitely going to be a step towards that direction. Going to the final means that I actually am that girl. You know, the girl that I think I am. I put myself out there, and people that know me know that I hold on to this voice that God has blessed me with. Making it this far means the world to me. I'm truly humbled. What an opportunity.
I think we'll jump straight into the second one.
My name is Tyrell. I prefer Ty. I am an actuary. The reason I've entered is because I believe that insurance companies are better served if the different professions can understand what each other do and at the same time work together to solve problems that South Africa has in ways that are only really possible by leveraging our different skill sets.
You will be spending the next few tasks with us.
I didn't expect to get into the top 10. I've had many proud moments in my career, in my personal life, qualifying as an actuary. There's like 13 board exams you have to go through. That last exam I actually wrote 6 times, and my dad passed away during one of those attempts. So, you know, I felt that I owed it to him in one part to complete the qualification.
But it's getting tough out here. Let's get to it.
I know the competition is getting tighter, but I'm still of the belief that the minute you stop being a team player and you start focusing on yourself, that is when you open yourself up to the most risk. This is a competition. We all want to win, okay, and the only way we get there is by working together. Remember, we're competing against the other team, not each other. This is how I want to do things, and if that doesn't get me first place, that's fine. Top 3 hasn't hit quite yet. It's huge. It's more than I thought I would accomplish coming into this competition. Anything can happen in this competition. So what's motivating me is just trying to get that number 1 spot.
So we got both updates there, Tyrell, Asanda. Asanda, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know Asanda, tell us who Asanda is.
Ooh. That's one of the easiest yet the hardest questions as well. I'm also wondering who Asanda is. So basically, I am a risk management employee.
Risk management employee. Nice. That's such a great way to, you're a top 3 contestant. Not many people can say that. There's only been, 12? And so you've done all the math things, Tyrell, that's 36, eh?
Yeah.
36 of all contestants ever entered got to the place where you guys got. So that's a big one. So Miss Risk, you took a risk. You took a risk in doing this. But where are you based? What do you do at the moment?
Okay. So I am based in Joburg. I'm currently in the risk management space, specifically property risks. Quite an interesting space to be a part of. I have a background in economics and supply chain. And when I did start working, I started off in the accounting department as in accounting management. Not really my favorite thing to do, so I'm
Why?
really happy.
Why wasn't it your favorite thing? Because I mean, accounting. I mean, for
Okay,
me,
I'm
was my
good at
worst
numbers.
subject. Okay.
I am good at numbers, but do I love them? Not so much. I think I'm more of, I can work better in the people business, whereas when I was still in numbers, it was just me and my computer. I wasn't in situations where I would find myself here speaking to a Jason, speaking to a Ty. I'd just be balancing spreadsheets.
Sure. So I heard Ty. Does everyone call him Ty?
Yeah, he actually did say he prefers Ty.
Ty.
So
okay.
we listen.
So Ty, welcome. You like the numbers. So give us your background, what you do at the moment.
Perfect. So I'm a qualified actuary. I work at a company called Insurance Apprentice. So we do rent off actuarial services pretty much to the wider insurance industry.
Hold on, that sounds entrepreneurial. Is that your business?
I am head of business development there. Not my business, but trying to win business essentially.
Is it a startup? Is it a...
It's a startup backed by quite a large South African entity.
Okay.
It's called VAT IT. Not sure. Yeah.
Okay, sure. That's awesome. And what do you do there?
So again, one part is renting of actuarial services to like wider corporates, and the other part is developing actuarial software. So actuaries use software for things that they do, like reserving, pricing, all of these things. So we're trying to build software that combines these artificial intelligence and machine learning to maximize what actuaries can do. So instead of spending all of that time coming up to the numbers, the question becomes, how can we add more value to the industry with what we do?
So how do you interpret those numbers a little bit better or
100%.
Okay.
So not just interpreting numbers better, but quicker, more efficiently. We don't want to use methods that are like 20 years old. There's paradigm shifts that we're trying to implement.
Sure. That's crazy that we've got an actuary and an accountant sitting in front of us. Former accountant. But it's just like it makes me think of the 10 that made it, there was quite a diverse group of occupations. Everyone had a diverse skill set, and it was quite cool to see the different personalities. You wouldn't expect certain people to be doing what they do. How did you find that? Were there any surprises amongst the contestants?
I was definitely surprised. I think also it kind of made me doubt myself a bit less, because I thought it's just going to be people with insurance qualifications and backgrounds and so many years of experience. And then there were people in IT, there were people that were in sales, so that made me a lot more comfortable. I think also not boxing people. I think I had met KG before the show. We hadn't interacted a lot socially, but she's a lot quieter, So, I mean, she really shocked me by being on the show, but it also showed me that, hey, you can also be different and have a different skill set and be a part of the show and a part of the industry. So the diversity was really great to see.
Yeah.
And it was positive for you because it helped your game then, because it made you more confident.
Yeah, definitely did.
And you mentioned like the imposter syndrome and all those things. When you made it to the top 20 even, did you even think that you were going to get that far?
No, I was shocked to make it to top 50.
Sure.
One thing about imposter syndrome is you disqualify yourself before the rest of the world does. You don't even give the world a fair chance to judge you. You're already judging yourself. You are your biggest critic. And I think watching myself back on the show, I think there's so much criticism you can focus on the outside world. I can say, yes, I was criticized a lot. On and off the show and other platforms.
Like during the show? Like by
I think just by contestants, judges, maybe when you watch back the reviews on the show. But then outside of that, what actually really shocked me is how much I was judging myself. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm judging myself more than anyone else is here. So that's definitely something that I'm taking away that I definitely need to work on.
And when did you feel that was there a specific moment in the show where you felt like you actually belonged, where you knew like there was a turning point? Because I'm pretty sure you've been reflecting on this imposter syndrome and beating yourself up about certain things and whatever. So when did you start believing?
I think when the rankings were announced by the judges, I mean, that caught me off guard. I think you saw that clip when they said Asanda. Even I looked around for the Asanda.
And that was quite early on. It
question.
was like halfway through, eh? It was like left or something.
Yeah, it was the beginning of task 4. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
okay.
So that really shocked me, but it also showed me that I actually belong here, and that I need to stop disqualifying myself so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tyrell,
Yeah.
what about you? Did you ever think that you would make it to the top 10? Never mind the
No.
top 3.
I've been following TIA, I think, since 2018, 2019, and there was a previous season where there were 2 actuaries in the top 10. It was Amukulang and Memory. And since then, I haven't actually seen any actuaries come onto the show. And I think it's also morphed into a very different kind of show as well. So to me, it was, can an actuary even get to the top 10? And I think I surprised myself very early on. I think I put a target on my back during the prelim rounds, which was not my intention. But yeah, I was grateful to make it and grateful to meet people like Asanda and the rest of the top 10. I think everyone brought their own personality, their own viewpoints, their own perspectives. And I think the most interesting thing to me is when you approach a task, you're in a room of people who all have a different perspective in the way they want to do things. And I think the issue was never coming up with a solution, but it's coming up with a solution where everyone's on the same boat, rowing in the same direction. So that was, to me, the most fascinating part of this experience. And I think it's the part that's the most like corporate. You can have the best ideas, but if you're the only one who wants to get there, it's never gonna work.
Yeah,
you have to get people on board your ship and row in the right direction.
We saw you do that quite a few times with your team because you had some personalities and some bust-ups and all sorts of things in your team. I thought you were the peacekeeper a lot of the time, and you're pretty chilled. Like, you're a pretty chilled dude. So I thought like you handled it quite well. When you stood up and like said your say, I was like, damn, this guy Ty, I won't call you Tyrell anymore. Like, goodness. How did you find, like, where did that come from actually?
I think I'm quite confident in what I can bring to things, but the intention was never...
It's like a quiet confidence in
Yeah,
you, eh?
the intention was never for me to be the star. So in any task I approach, it was always to let everyone else contribute and go the direction they want, and more just plug holes and gaps in the boat.
That's a great strategy for anyone's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as it increasingly got into the competition, I realized at points that my opinion was valued. There was a bit of a mediation kind of thing I had to do between Guga and Milady as well. I think it never really made the show footage, but moments like those kind of give you the courage to say, okay, you know, maybe I can do this, maybe I do belong here, and maybe I just keep pushing. And
was there a moment you thought that you could actually win this thing?
yes. Towards the end, I think it was becoming more and more
Real
to me. Yeah. I didn't go in with the intention of winning, but the in-seater prize really turned my head. That, I think it was a 470K prize package to study at Gibbs.
Wow.
And I mean, working in a startup, it's not really an opportunity that you're going to get right off the bat. So the closer it got to the end, the more real it became. And the FSCA task was, I guess, also working with Karabo in a previous task, we kind of built that relationship and there was trust there. So I could just give it my all and not really worry about the team.
So was it the two of you in the final, eh?
Yes.
In a team?
Yeah.
Asanda, who were you with?
I was with Bego.
Bego.
Yeah.
So Tyrell, do you think that the final task, being with Karabo, do you think that's where you lost it to her?
No, I think between the three of us, to be honest,
Yeah.
Asanda included, we all have different personalities and different ways of approaching things. And if I was a judge, I'd find it incredibly difficult to pick a winner of the three. That would be my honest answer. And it's not to take away from anyone else. I think Karabo brings her own relatability and what she does in a way that I can't. Same thing with Asanda. We all have aspects to us that I think people relate to in different ways.
Do we know who was second?
Yeah.
Excuse my ignorance. So I'm right, eh?
Yeah, that
Okay, I was just making sure that I really messed that up.
Yeah.
Okay, but third place, because that last day at the FSCA, how were you feeling, Asanda? Because the whole time you like, I don't belong, I'm not good enough, and then you back yourself, and you could see the change. You could see the way you were strutting around. Like, there was confidence. Actually, it wasn't a false confidence. I feel like you believed in yourself. and you already accomplished something by getting that far, in my mind, just as a viewer, you know. So what was like your experience with that whole thing? Like, do you, yeah.
Well, I think the closer I got, like when I got to top 5, now I started wanting it, you know, as much as everyone else did. I sort of started believing that this is actually attainable, you know. But where I think my shortfall was, I'm just gonna paraphrase Ty's words in those videos. He says once you start working as an individual and forget the team dynamic, that's sort of where you actually lose it. So when I actually look back and I'm reflecting, I would say that's where I lost it. Maybe I wanted it so bad that I neglected the team dynamic, and which is a very important thing to learn, even in a corporate space.
That's a big thing that actually, like, not many people have come through the show and have said that.
Yeah, it's not that you want it, but now the way that you want it essentially leads to you not actually getting it, which is a very good point to note, because even in a corporate setting, you will find people that you don't gel well with, you don't work well with. But at the end of the day, deliverables are deliverables, and they have to be met regardless of how you feel. So I would say that I was overtaken by emotion. So, and looking back, I'm like, come on, girl.
Yeah.
You're stronger.
It's something. Well, you know, the cameras are all over. The
Yeah.
lights are in your face.
Yeah.
The pressure is on because you don't eat. I mean, I didn't eat for like 3 days on that show.
Yeah.
You know, like just stressed, like not eat properly. You know, like during the day, you're just like focused.
Yeah.
You're too nervous, so you don't want to eat too much. You know, like you know that how that goes. But you became known for your voice. So was that kind of the team? Is that what you mean? Maybe not, because in my mind it was actually a good thing. You became known for that because of your confidence, and that you're actually one of the forerunners to go and win this thing. You know, we saw strong people at the end. Ty, you included. You're just not as loud. You know, that's a different strength completely. You know, so I'm not disregarding that or discounting that. But I felt like you got confidence. Do you think that was like kind of followed you, like people noticed that? Like,
I think they did notice. You know, I wasn't really intentional about, putting my voice out there, but it's just there.
Sometimes you just need someone to step up.
Yeah, sometimes you do. But then I think in the same breath, you do need someone to in the same breath that you need someone to step up, sometimes you need to know when to step back, you know. So that's also another reflective point for me, where maybe I might have been overwhelming to some people because of that loudness, maybe individuals that aren't as loud as myself. So as much as I wanted to step up, there were moments where maybe I could have stepped back and let other people shine.
I think that's mature, to be honest. Like, this is a competition for under 35s. Let's just be real. We are children, guys. We are children. I'm going to call it because I'm not 36 yet. So I'm going to keep saying that I'm still in there. But we learn a lot from the show. And I think it's one of those, Simon mentioned it actually. I want to find the quote. He said, "This competition acts like a mirror."
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was in the finale. And for me, I really do believe that you have to look at yourself through this, because the pressure's there, everything is there, but it's such a small, it's a week, you know, that you're competing. But for me, I learned more in that week about myself, about my personality, about other people, about team dynamics, whatever the case is, than I did probably in the last 15 years, you know, and that just grew me up so much. Hopefully people at my office could see that, you know, because like something just switched in me, where I realized the way that I comes across a little bit more aggressive sometimes, you know, where I'm actually just short giving instructions and I'm wanting to go. And that can be kind of seen differently by others, you know, so I had to be more intentional about my communication and all of that. Ty, it seems like you are quite intentional. You think before you speak. Tell us how you do it, please.
No, I think to me, it's just, that's my kind of personality. I am very introverted, and my journey in my career has been realizing that I bring something to the table and being more and more confident about expressing my voice. And I've had the pleasure across my career in working in a bunch of different spaces: data science, working in a cell captive environment, reviewing different licenses from specialty to retail. So the viewpoints I've acquired over time have also given me wider perspectives of how people in the industry operate. And something I've realized is that different professions really bring key skills in different areas. I think sometimes you'll hear the talk in an insurance company about a broker saying, "Oh, these actuaries, all we do is give them something to price," and you'll hear an actuary complain about someone as
about
well.
a broker.
About a broker.
All these brokers are, they're just complaining about price.
100%. And the thing that I've noticed is that the short-term insurance industry is actually very new to actuaries. So if you look at the life insurance space, actuaries have been there for decades.
They all had a book, 2 pages at the back, showing us what you calculate.
Exactly. And to be honest, I also don't think the short-term insurance industry needs to get to that point. I think it actually hurts the industry if we get there, right? Because everyone's perspective changes how you bring a product forward, how you distribute a product, how you consider the needs of the people in South Africa. And what I realized working in that sort of environment was that a broker sees the client's needs. A broker's chatting to them. They're seeing this person isn't getting insurance because cost might be too high, or this person's not getting insurance because I can't explain the terms adequately to them. The underwriter actually is able to go and see the risk and say, this is a good risk, this is a bad risk. And actually is able to use the data and price a bit. But you have this value chain where every person is bringing their skills.
We're all like interlinked.
Yeah. But unfortunately, you find that in some companies, they're not interlinked when they should be. And to me, that was why I wanted to be on the show. I wanted to work with someone who works as a property risk consultant, or someone who works as an accountant, or someone who works as a sales executive, and come together and bring life to solutions that individually none of us would have been able to put forward.
I think what I haven't brought up in a while is exactly that, bringing life to these ideas that come out, or these solutions that you guys put together on the show. And it actually does happen in reality. We've had a couple of the sponsors take on some of those ideas from the tasks that they've set and have implemented it in their businesses, large insurers. And I won't even mention any of them because they're actually, it's well ingrained into society now, that product or that thing, that initiative. And I've seen that throughout Apprentice. So bringing things to life, maybe let's touch on that. Did you feel, either of you can answer this, but did you feel like the task that you did actually made an impact?
Yeah, I think the first task we actually did together, which was the Sazria task, I quite enjoyed that. There's a lot of dynamics and things behind the scenes that you don't get to see because the nature you're filming for a whole day and you only get to see 45 minutes as a viewer. But that task, I felt every person in the team brought something to the idea.
It was almost personal.
Yeah.
You could tell it was almost personal.
Yeah, I think for me it was 2 tasks, but then the Nsita one stood out. I think starting the challenge off with an intern who essentially had no idea what insurance
Were those
is.
the kids that were sitting with you? Oh, yes,
yes. And finding ourselves at the end of the presentation where Simon and Anox would address a question to them, and you are there with your fingers crossing, and like, I hope he answers right. And then he gives this answer, and I mean, for a second, I felt like a proud parent. I'm like, what?
You did your job,
And he explained it so well, I almost clapped just, watching that. So I think to know that what TIA does through us, through people like you, it reaches an audience that maybe traditionally it wouldn't have, so.
Yeah, I think people are starting to speak about insurance, starting to just see insurance as not being this thing that we all hate. You mentioned it before we started, one of your family members, I will not mention who, said like, oh no, all insurers are criminals or whatever the case is. And I think that's something that the narrative's starting to change.
Yeah.
I never thought they were criminals, but we know that people do think insurers don't want to pay us, or whatever the case is. Yeah.
I mean, I think the perception is really changing. I think when a person looks at insurance, a person back at home would never think Sazria would be an insurance-related issue. Yeah. They wouldn't think about that. They wouldn't think about how riots could affect the broader economy, and then what shows like TIA is brought to their attention. So it's a lot bigger than just life insurance and your cars and all those things. And I think the feedback that I've been getting from just essentially like my circle has just been quite interesting. I had teenagers watching the show. I had my nieces and nephews
yes, it's
critique
cool.
me and tell me what I should have done differently. And I'm like, these children are telling me what to do in insurance.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's reaching that audience, and I love the direction that it's taking.
I think that's the fun part of TIA is that the task is seen and you can kind of apply your mind to it too. You know?
Yeah.
We've got a lot of youngsters that will bring an idea or whatever the case is. And I think there's an opportunity for some ex-contestants. And I think, Ty, you smiling at me because you know where I'm going with this. But I've been trying to push for a TIA tank or some brainstorm thing where we can sit down with ideas from the industry and we can put our ideas together and actually build something out of this, you know, and get insurers involved in a forum kind of thing where we can build tech and build products that the industry can share and use. You know, I don't know. Do you have something to add there? I don't know.
No, I think it's a fascinating idea, given the amount of challenges there have been on TIA in general, and just again the innovative ideas that have come through the platform. I think there's also a lot that can still be done on education itself, packaging some of those tasks, for example, in a way of almost educating insurance professionals coming in, or younger people who want to come into the insurance industry and learn about it. I think also
we can replace the RE exam with a task from its Insurance Apprentice.
maybe it won't be the most popular decision.
Yeah.
But I mean, even this TIA talks, for example, 7 years ago, if you wanted to learn about insurance, it was actually very difficult to do it unless you went and read some magazines or
some random magazines that were out there. Renette, I'm talking to FA News.
So I think this platform is a great example of that. I think there is still more that can be done to educate, elevate, and empower. But I mean, that think tank is one great idea.
Yeah, I think we're moving into we're moving in the right direction. You know, I think there's steps that TIA has taken over time, and we've seen it. You mentioned it earlier that the show has changed. You know, the competition has changed a bit, where it was always about, you know, showing who the top dog was in the competition, and I think even life has changed in the last 5-6 years, where people are at the center of everything we really do. You know, even with AI coming in and all that stuff. But I just think that the competition has changed in a way where we're not just looking for a winner anymore. We're looking for an ambassador that can really tackle those three key things that we, as TIA alumni now, want to kind of push out. And that's empower, educate, and elevate. So do you think that the competition is doing those things? And do you think that, I mean, we can always do better, I think, but do you think it is going in the right direction?
I think it is. I think it is. On that point that we are in the people business, we're no longer focused on, you know, that super technical person. Yes, you can get everything done, but at the core of your business is people. You know, you need to be able to, I mean, as a broker, you need to understand client needs, you know, and to understand client needs, you need to have that
You have to get to know them.
you know? Exactly. And also you want to, I think as an ambassador of insurance, you want someone that represents the brand, someone that people can relate to, you know, someone that breaks down those walls that already are created about insurance and encourages young people to join the industry. You know, so I think TIA is definitely doing that.
Yeah. And just to clarify, we're not trying to encourage young people to join TIA. Okay. That's, we want people to see that insurance is not this boring place. You know, I find that insurance is one of the, well, I think it is actually the largest industry. That's kind of the backbone of the economy.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
It's coming from an actuary. Tyres agreed. Okay, so I'll take it.
I think to me, the interesting part is, especially as people, we don't tend to see the impacts of insurance because we're not buying it directly. But when you look at all the things we enjoy, going to a mall, going shopping, any business that gets constructed typically has insurance to protect it. And I think the wider commercial industry sees that. It should have, unless you're just taking the risk. But I do agree with you. It is the backbone of the economy. And I think part of our mission is to spread that message to people, to understand that. But I think it's also for the insurance industry to meet people halfway. We've seen funeral insurance, for example, become a significant product purchased by the people of South Africa.
Yeah.
But I think that's because it meets a need that South Africans have, and that could be a cultural need. And I think it's the same for short-term insurance when you have aspects of not just affordability, but also product simplicity.
Yeah.
And is it meeting a cultural need, and is it described in a way that a person can say, this is what I'm getting, and it's not just covering an asset that I have.
Yeah. I was in the UK for a couple of weeks a little while back, and that's why I missed one of your events, just by the way. I'm just kidding. So I was there and I looked at like the tube stuff, you know, you travel on the tube and all this stuff. And I was like, can this first world stuff work here? And it got me thinking, not if that specific solution could work, but if there was another solution. Because we, like you said, there is a cultural element in SA where, I mean, we have taxi drivers, for instance. We have taxis on the road. Are you telling me that we build a tube or Gautrain and we get rid of all the taxis or get rid of it? No, that's a whole industry that they've built. I mean, it's probably going on to like what, 60, 70, 80 years of taxis in SA. You know, surely we can bring people together to start to regulate them better, maybe assist them, you know, like whatever, to make, I mean, imagine a tap and go taxi system, centralized, you know, your tickets there, blah, blah, blah. I'm just speaking off the cuff here, but I was looking at that and I was sitting in the tube and I really thought, how do we do this in SA? And it got me thinking that we are actually very different and we must accept the differences in the way we do things and then implement that infrastructure for us. You know, we're not a Western country. We shouldn't pretend to be. You know, we're not Europe. We have much better weather. You know, we've got so much to offer. Tyrell, you look like you're itching to say
no,
something.
100%. It's something I've thought about for a while, and to be honest, why I wanted to join a show like TIA. To me, that very situation you described about the taxi system, I think it's tempting to like come up with a solution to it, but the truth of it is that I haven't lived that experience. You know, there's a lot of experiences I have not lived, but there's a lot of experience contestants of TIA have, and people in the industry have. And to me, it's about connecting those perspectives with the skills to solve those problems. Because otherwise, we come up with a solution that we think is the best from our perspective.
100%.
Suddenly, we have a tap and go system on a taxi.
That can be
and then we realize that maybe 70 or 60% of the informal economy doesn't actually use credit cards. And suddenly, we've implemented a system that takes away the ability for the target market to actually use that. So to me, that's the benefit of a insurance industry that's more inclusive, where we actually are able to take these viewpoints and then imagine taking those viewpoints to insurance and asking the uninsured, why do you not actually buy this? And sifting away from just affordability and simplicity and starting to figure out what their actual needs are. You know, when you purchase a vehicle, for example, do you care if the front bumper gets damaged? Answer is probably not. You know, you care if the vehicle is totally destroyed. It's actually something we see in taxi insurance, which works a bit differently than you would from motor insurance. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is every one of these industries and things have different needs that are met. And in commercial insurance, what benefits it is that people in those industries have helped develop the insurance products. They've said, these are my risks. You know, marine operates in a certain way. Why aren't you covering me for this? But I don't think we've done that for the uninsured market. And that is where this gap comes from.
I think there is a job to do, you know, to try and like restart everything and actually figure out what is the starting point to tackle these issues. You know, maybe TIA tasks are the way to do it. You know, maybe more insurers and more role players in the industry need to actually pose the questions so they can get solutions from us, from people in the industry, you know, and families in the industry and actual real people living that every single day. You know, I love it. Asanda, I wanted to speak about just showing young people that they can be themselves and still thrive in insurance. That's something that I picked up just throughout the show, that your purpose was to, and you mentioned it now with the teenagers and stuff, seeing it. Why is that important to you?
I think it's very important to me because growing up, I don't think I had anyone that I looked at, let's say in the insurance space, and say, This is what. No, I'm laughing because I have a thought.
Say it.
All I saw was Desmond Dube. But aside from Desmond Dube, there isn't anyone that I can say I saw this figure growing up that inspired me to want to join insurance or be in the insurance industry. I never had that type of person. I mean, I found out about insurance only when I was in the job market and I was learning about all the roles that I can actually get into, given my background in economics. And I mean, there's so many things that you wish you would have received information differently. You might have made decisions a lot differently than you did. So if I can be that face that a young person looks at and says, I actually want to get into insurance, I want to get into risk management, I want to be like Asanda. That really is the goal, you know. And then also, I was speaking in the finale about how versatile we as insurance individuals are. I mean, if we spoke about the skill sets across the group, we had our hobbies here that played as snippets. There are people behind those claims, behind underwriting. And if a young person can look at us and see a person and find us relatable, I mean, I would have achieved what I'm trying to achieve.
That's awesome. I think we're on the precipice of some change, I think, at the moment. I mean, Ty, you and AI and things like that. And that human element, that connection, that relationship, I think is not going to go away. I think it's just going to get more important. And I think, like, we've highlighted some human skills here. It's not about technical skills all the time. It's actually about that EQ, that the way you deal with people to get to that end goal. So, Ty, I actually wanted to ask you, well, both of you actually, I wanted to ask, what's changed since being on the Insurance Apprentice? You know, so for me, I mean, I started a podcast, you know, like, yay. What have you guys seen since the end and since the finale? I mean, it's only just been recently, but it's recently been aired, but we've known a little while.
Yeah.
So what things have changed in your life?
I think what's been quite comforting to me is that a lot of people have seen what I've done on the show, especially in the insurance industry. And I've come to say, you know, I didn't know an actuary could do that. I didn't know we could contribute in this way. And that was really what I wanted to show at the outset. You know, I think a lot of people view actuaries as these human calculators. And I want to show it could be so much more than that. My ambition really is to bridge the technical gap and just to the wider insurance industry and come up with new solutions, think about things from the ground up, you know, create. And to have that feedback already has been, to me, it's kind of the objective in a way done what I set out to do.
Yeah, I think it's it's given you the platform to kind of do the things that matter because you can see that they matter.
Yeah.
You know? Asanda?
So I think the change for me, well, I mean, it's twofold. The external change that everyone sees, the platform, the speaking, you know, that's great. I love it so much. But I think change that I wasn't expecting was the internal change. I think this show has been quite transformative for me. You know, I learned things about myself in a week that I hadn't learned maybe in the past 2 years. You know, I saw parts of myself that were good and that maybe I can leverage or improve. And then I also saw parts of myself that needed a lot of work. So I think that internal work, it really shocked me. I don't think any of us go into TIA thinking, I want to change who I am as a person.
I'm going to be a better person after this.
Exactly.
Yeah, we go to church for that. You know?
Exactly. I wasn't trying to go into TIA trying to be a better person. I mean, I wanted to win, but I didn't go there saying, you know, I want to introspect. I want to be a better person. I want to communicate better. I want to work better with people.
Almost like a side effect.
Exactly. So these are all the things that I gained from TIA that I wasn't anticipating I'd walk out of the competition with.
There were a lot of twists in the TIA. And I think for us, just to have a little bit of fun, I thought, let's do some rapid fire questions to each of you. Okay. I don't want long answers, okay? This is rapid fire. Okay. Got 5 questions each. They're the same questions. So whoever goes second, sorry for you. You're actually going to think about it a little bit. Okay. But Ty, let's start with you. Hardest challenge in the show?
Probably Sazria.
Best teammate?
Karaba.
Karabo. And she won. Yeah, she beat you. Most underrated contestant. You can say yourself. Don't say
Would
yourself.
say myself.
Okay,
but
there we
no,
go.
No, I'm joking. Becca.
Who? Becca.
Becca,
Oh, good choice. That was he like most improved.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Biggest lesson.
Sometimes that you have to speak first rather than listen first.
Sure.
I think that was my thing. I've always, sorry, rapid fire.
Yeah, but give it. No.
No. I think as a natural introvert, sometimes I have to speak.
Yeah.
And I think you realize that when you're filming and the extroverts are naturally just come
Yeah,
to life.
yeah.
So part of it was learning that sometimes you need to get your voice heard.
Yeah. Okay. One word to describe your journey.
Unboxed.
Unboxed. He's thought about that one, hey?
Yeah.
Asanda, hardest challenge.
FSCA.
FSCA. Best teammate.
Karabo.
Karabo. Oh, Karabo is winning in all areas. Yeah? Sure. Biggest surprise.
The strike.
The strike.
Yeah.
When they all came in. Yeah. That looked like it threw you guys all off, eh?
Yeah, I froze.
Sure. Biggest lesson.
Be more collaborative. That was my biggest lesson.
And one word to describe your journey.
Transformative.
Transformative. Okay, yeah, I saw you waiting for that. Okay, cool. Final goodbyes, and I'm sure we'll see each other again, especially on TIA Talks, because you guys were amazing guests, amazing competitors too in TIA. Tyrell, your dad's story became an important part of your journey.
Yeah.
If he could have watched the finale, what do you think he would have said?
I think he would have been proud. I think throughout the competition, I gave it the best I could. And I've always believed that you can only control the factors that you can influence. So I think whatever was in my control, I did things the way I wanted to do it.
Yeah. And honestly, I think he would be proud. I think you walked an amazing journey through the competition, and we learned a lot about you, Ty. Even though you didn't maybe want us to learn too much, there's something about your calmness and the way that you just hold yourself, together. That's something I need, and it's always nice to see people that do things better than you, because I can see that I want that. I want what Ty's got.
Yeah, I still have a lot to learn. Still very young, so I need to keep developing, keep getting better. So I think I also have my own introspection to do off the show and see where my shortcomings were. Yeah. And hopefully give answers as good as Asanda one day.
Asanda, you said making the final would prove that you are the person you believe you can be. You did make the final. So sitting here today, do you believe it?
I hesitated. Yes, I do believe it. I do believe it. Like I said, I think at top 20, I want to be more than my portfolio. I don't want to be the person that's sitting behind the desk, I'm hoping I look back at this episode and the TA episodes as an industry lead, as a thought leader. That is really what I want to be in the industry. I want to be someone of influence in the industry. I want to work with great minds like Ty, like Jason,
Wow.
Yeah, I really look forward to what this industry has for me, for the entire top 10 really. And I look forward to collaborating with them in future and looking back at this moment and saying, oh my gosh, we did that.
Yeah. And you guys did it. So congratulations. And in closing, I think I'm just going to close it off because you guys have said a lot of amazing stuff. And I don't want to pick apart anything that you've said because there are some points that I'm definitely going to listen back to this episode, even though I don't listen to any of these episodes. But we learned today that winning is only one measure of success. And I saw that with you guys sitting in front of me. This season reminded us that leadership, growth, and resilience, Ty. I saw a lot of resilience from you. 6 times doing exams. Goodness gracious. And impact don't belong exclusively to the person holding the trophy. It belongs to all of us that enter and just take a risk. Hey, Asanda, in risk. Tyrell and Asanda may not have won the competition, but they helped define the season, and their journeys will continue long after the cameras have stopped rolling. This structure keeps Karabo's winner story untouched for this week. So we're going to get into that next week. But to the top 3 that didn't get eliminated, because I made sure, Mensa, I didn't say eliminated. I was eliminated. You guys were not. Congratulations. And thank you for just being kind of a light in the insurance industry. I think this top 3 was a very, very strong top 3. And I think the points separating you were marginal. So yeah, congratulations. And we'll see Karabo next week.
Thank you,
so
Jason.
much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ty.
At Magwaza, we've always believed that the service we offer is more than just class. It's people. From our technicians on the road to the partners who trust us and the communities we care about. It's the people who make a difference. Every chip we fix adds to a bigger picture, one of growth, opportunity, and impact. Because when people grow, communities thrive. And that's the kind of spirit that defines us. Every job, every journey, every glass we touch is a story about care. Because trust isn't built in an app. It's built by people.